Okay, guys, I'd like to welcome everyone here, and I'm just going to present a small slide, which is, so I'll share with you guys now. 1 second. Okay, so can everyone see that there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so today we're looking at online facilitation, how to manage our European projects online. So just a brief introduction. My name is Darren O'Connor. I'm a youth worker and trainer. I've been in youth work now for 15 years. I'm a youth worker with Breakout Youth Service. So my interest and my experience would be in games and digital media, inclusion, team development, and digital youth work. I have a master's in games, youth work with games and digital media. So in this current time, it's quite useful, and hopefully I can share some of the skills with you guys today. And just working in an online format, which I'm quite used to. So just moving on, we're just going to have a little bit of a running order here. So we're looking at housekeeping. So we just have a few things that we just want to clear. Muting will be one of them, as we will touch on now in a few minutes. Introductions, we want to get to know who's in the room, the expertise in the room, because you guys are the experts. It's just how can we get these expertise in an online setting and share them with each other within the space today. We will look at a facilitation flow, like anything, like our face-to-face work, whether it be in training, education, youth work. You know, we create a flow creates interest, engagement, and participation. And that's what we want in an online setting and format. So the current challenges we look at with each other, using our expertise in small groups, we will look at the current challenges for people in transferring that European work into an online format. And then how can we overcome them? So we're going to have a little look then at the end. There's a bit of theory in here, guys. I will not be boring people with the theory. We'll be just looking at it as a model and just going past it, and it will be there for people to refer to in the future when they need it. But it does help. So the online design model of gamification for online facilitation, we will look at the key elements in that and how it's important to have that in an online design to help us with engagement and participation. And then endurance. So we'll be looking to close the session with some questions and answers, and also let you know about some of the resources and tools that we will be given to the groups. I just have to admit another person here now. So we should have another member in with us also. So just the housekeeping, guys, is mute microphones when others speak. We're on a tight time frame, and we're just a little bit delayed with our technical issues at the start, which is to be expected in this platform. So if people are itching to get involved and participate, we want that. We want it to be fairly interactive, and we want people to participate. There is a chat box in the Zoom where people can put in some resources, or if they have something on their mind, please share it. Put it into the chat box that we have here in the tip below. Don't keep anything to yourself, share it and use the chat. So tips and tools, don't be worrying about if there's something I'm delivering or doing a particular way. Don't be too eager to find out how that's happening or what we're doing. We will have space at the end to explain, and also we will provide some tools and resources to help you in this process also. So this will be recorded, and it could be used for other training purposes. So I know people have agreed to it being recorded, but just to let you know, it could be used for other training purposes if people are all right with that. If there's an issue with people being recorded, feel free to turn your camera off so you're still present. You can still speak, but you don't have to show your face. That's if people are uncomfortable. So our introductions, just another kind of an explanation of what we're doing here today. We're going to take you through a facilitation flow and session, and it's going to be a bit of a template for you guys to use in user work. So you'll notice there will be different methods and techniques used today, and hopefully they will help you and enhance you with transferring your work. Okay. Start with
Darren, can you hear us? Because we've frozen, I think.
The flow is very important for session, a program. You know, flow.
We can't hear.
Middle and an end.
So Darren,
have a clear plan with different methods. For example, at the moment, okay, can you hear me now? Is that?
Darren,
okay, I can.
Darren, there's a breakup coming, so it's not ideal, but if you turn off your video, maybe it might help. We can hear you. It's not ideal, but might help.
I don't know if there's, I know Virgin.
Good to have you back. Apologies again. So our facilitation flow, just what I was getting to is having a start, a middle and an end. Now a structure plan will help you with that. Different methods from lecture style, those groups, which we will all experience now when we go into our breakout rooms, and individual reflection. So promoting, at the start I showed you guys a picture, a profile picture of myself. That's something that can be done easily. I will add a resource and send to you, but it's something where you can have something planned where the participants can have their picture and also their motivations, and then they can use it for reflection purposes at the end as a diary or whatever you feel necessary. So stages of development. So we don't just rush in and we do the challenge and stuff first. We have a slow start and we bring people in through stages of development. So the model I'd like to use for this, and people might be very familiar with, is the Tuckman stages of group development, which is very handy when you're working with teams and groups to bring them through a process and stages of development. So it creates a flow and it's very clear in each stage of development. So getting them from a forming stage to bringing the group up to a performing stage. So if we meet in a European context, getting two groups, whether it be from two different nationalities, getting them to know each other and working them up to performing and working together and collaborating. So this model is a really good model. You're looking at your session from an introduction to an end.
It just pointing out the shaking hands and the forming thing in the picture. We can't do that anymore.
We can't do that.
Very dated.
Okay. We need to get some up-to-date pictures though. So guys, looking at now our current challenges. So we're gonna mix up. I'm gonna stop sharing this and come back to you for a second, and we're going to look at now putting these into breakout rooms. So using the expertise in the room. And what I've done here, guys, is in the chat, I'm gonna add, it's a document, okay? So it's a document, Google Slides, which we ask people to download. So everyone doesn't have to log on to this, but it's a good tool for people. Then you will have access to the slides that I'm showing you. And I've also prepared Team A, Team B, Team C, Team D to give some feedback. There will be a member of the national agency in each group, but everyone has access to this now and can start editing. So it is a tool that, you know, really is very inclusive for people and can give people editing rights straight away also. So looking at the breakout rooms, I have to set these up again because I went out. So we're going to create 4 breakout rooms. Now, I will add a tutorial and breakout rooms to the resources at the end, and we can answer some questions at the end to what are breakout rooms, how we use breakout rooms for those who are not familiar with them. So creating them now, I will have Siobhan, we have Anne, we have Anne, we have Léargas, and I have, is Denise back on with us there as well? Yeah, so I need to move to breakout room 2. So guys, each room will have a member from the national agency. And what we want you to do now for the next 15 minutes is just talk with each other about the current challenges that you have in transferring the work online. Okay, if anyone needs me, you can get me through the chat. I will be checking in on the groups in the breakout rooms for recording purposes and also for support if needed. So at the moment now, when we open this, there will be breakout rooms created now, okay? So you will be going into your breakout rooms.
Hello.
Hi,
How's it going?
how are you?
Good. Oh God, I feel like I need a drink after to start off this morning. It's been a
High
bit.
stress, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a joy of trying to learn something new, isn't it? But, well, obviously I'm Carmel, so I am the TCA officer in Léargas. So I manage all the European trainings being hosted in Ireland and also sending to activities abroad as well. So I think for me right now, some of the challenges is that trying to like transfer things online. So transferring the trainings or trying to transfer that kind of quality learning onto an online platform. Obviously for me now, my role has completely reversed because we can't transfer people to European countries for trainings or host any people actually physically anymore for next while. So that in itself is quite challenging for me to figure out new alternative ways to kind of engage people and support people in their training processes and learning development. I'm not sure if anyone wants to go next or.
Carmel, yeah, Finian here. Yeah, I'm currently managing an Erasmus project and a project to do with innovation, transfer of innovation, and we have produced our content for the project and we're now arranging to try to translate it into 9 other languages. So our biggest difficulty is in transferring the material between each other and getting everybody set up to do the translation in a defined way that we can before then we set up a pilot later in the year to roll it out in the classrooms in a number of schools around Europe. Yeah, so it's a logistical challenge more than a communication challenge that we face at the moment. Yeah.
Thanks, Lillian. Miranda, Dimitri, do you want to say anything or what you're facing in challenges at the moment or?
Yeah, sure. I'm actually very new to the whole process. I'm a music teacher in Kerry College of Further Education, and we engaged with the Erasmus Plus program a couple of years ago. So we are still planning on engaging with it again this year. So I've just been given this post of responsibility. So I'm really, I suppose, familiarizing myself at the moment with what can and can't be done if we proceed with a new project. Obviously, we would have hosted students in the past and we would have sent students abroad, but you know, everything's up in the air now. So it's how to proceed and how to move forward if we proceed with a new project.
I think that's a challenge. Like, I think initially when it just all happened in terms of Erasmus Plus and COVID, I was like, we kind of panicked and going, oh my God, like, I mean, the program is based on mobility. It's based on like people moving from country to country, meeting each other. And that challenge is, I mean, it's still there in terms of like how it's going to maneuver, but we still, like, we had one deadline there last week, and people are still applying, because with the project as well, you can have your preparation, so you could have your virtual meetings, your virtual exchanges starting off, and like, for schools maybe using eTwinning and using these different tools, online platforms, until initially, then that could be like a 5 or 6 months preparation, and then after that, then doing the mobility is like, with hopefully by this time next year, things will be back to somewhat normality. It might mean smaller groups of young students going, or smaller groups of workers going and transitioning or something like that. But we're still trying to encourage people to apply for funding, because it's still going to be there, and especially for the larger KE Action 2 funding as well. A lot of national activities can happen from these as well,
Yeah, it's good. It's good to know that there's still funding. I suppose it's just to try to come up with an innovative way to run a new project using, because obviously our learners would be adults. So it's how can we engage, even like you say, a small group of students, and whether we don't even know yet whether people will be allowed to travel. It would normally be around January, February when we would have mobility happening. And it's just such an unknown at the moment.
Yeah, and it is that, because like I even see with the world of TCAs, a lot of people are planning, hoping September or October they'll be starting back the TCA activities and stuff like that. For me, I'm a little bit more dubious that probably will take a little after Christmas before things go back, and I don't think things will go back the way they used to be either. I think there'll be a lot more. I think there'll be a lot more people are going to be much more critical in why they're doing what they're doing now, or what is the real strong needs out of this as well. But I think it's important to try to learn from this as well, and incorporate that kind of the virtual element to the European projects as well. Because I suppose in some ways, I feel like we never in Léargas use like online methodologies as much as probably in hindsight we could have used, but you're kind of catalyzed into this kind of way of working now, and I think it'd be a shame to go back to the way we were without learning from what we have taken with us as well.
Yeah, it's
Carmen,
great. And I just think the whole climate issue as well means that people will probably stick to this more remote way of delivering when they can.
Yeah, I think in some ways, I'll see like the Erasmus Plus as well is looking at more sustainable travel and stuff like that. So for more mainland Europe, they're looking at people traveling via trains and stuff more. But obviously in Ireland, like, we have to take flights like planes, or we won't be able to engage in it. So it is about the sustainability and see how it works as well.
Thanks, Carmel.
Carmel, just during the project, we're also trying to plan our final dissemination events for the project, and the main one is in Brussels next year. So the planning of that is proven very difficult if we're trying to bring 150, 200 people together.
Yeah.
But in Brussels, how are we going to manage that in this uncertain times? So that's a big challenge for us as part of the planning of the project.
Okay, I can imagine. I know Siobhan and Denise will have more kind of information about that in terms of what they've heard from the Commission, but I think the Commission are understanding that this is a challenge and are opening up to different alternative ways of people doing the dissemination activities. So they're doing online. Like, I'm involved in this publication of this resource as well on the youth side, but we're looking as well as doing an online seminar, or like doing a day event or 2 half-day events online instead as way of dissemination. So it's not as real, it's not as, that's weird, it might not be as, the learning outcomes or outputs might not be as strong as doing virtually, but then also maybe virtually you'll have other like benefits, like you might be able to engage more people that way as well,
Okay.
So, well, like, you can talk to Denise, and they're going to be time after the webinar today as well, that we can talk to people as well. So a bit like, so you can talk to Denise and Denise and Siobhan about it as well.
Thanks.
Hi, I work for Dublin Simon community. So we have 4 EBS volunteers, and like 4 of them have gone back home. But it's just that, like, we always need volunteers because we are because we work in frontline. So it's just that at the moment we are interviewing people, but the thing is we can't just give them a definite start date because we don't know when travel is going to open up. So like it's just that like, you know, we can't give definite answers to anyone. Like, you know, it's just that we are doing our own paperwork and doing few things on our own, but like there's no definite answer when things are going to open up. So yeah, that's a challenge, like, because people keep asking us again and again, okay, when am I going to start? And we can't give them any definite answer about it. So
Yeah, I think in some ways that uncertainty is the biggest challenge in some ways, because even if you knew, okay, things are going to be back running in January or something like that, you'd be like, okay, we can work towards our work plans towards this. But like, none of us know how it's going to act out. It might be earlier, like, you know, like I know for us, like we're looking more at the national activities as well. So how can we support more at a national level, or do activities more in Ireland and stuff like that? Because maybe in reality, that's what's going to be more realistic in starting off. It's going to be the national activities rather than the European activities or the like transnational element of it. But I think that's the one thing, is the uncertainty, you know. I know we're meant to put this into the Google Slides, so I might ask Darren, do we need to do that? Let me see. What we can call him here. Let's see.
Hey, Carmel, Group B are typing at the moment, so I think we're meant to pop them into the slide, all right?
Okay, are we?
Yeah.
Okay, let me get this slide up. Okay. I'll share my screen. Where is it? Show all my totals. Okay, see who's over here. Okay, now let me share my screen. Okay. Okay, so can everyone see that there? What group are we again? Or I should be listening.
I think we're A.
Group 4.
So D here. So
Oh,
we
D.
can put challenges in here. So we can add in what kind of challenges we have here. So as a group, on the highest priority is the skills and experience of the team. So come on, what is our main 5 challenges then?
Organizing dissemination events for our project. And organizing TTL, teacher training learning events as well. It's impossible to bring groups of people together to do this unless, we'll have to come up with remote options or online options.
Yeah, like platforms. Like I know some people are using some other online platforms like the Moodle, so you can do kind of trainings on that, but then it's a sustainability issue. Is it something that you're going to use just as a once-off, or is it going to be long-term, you know?
Yeah.
I think probably another one we're talking about there is the uncertainty of the time frame, like time frame of project as well. So,
and student mobility is a question mark as well.
Yeah.
Of mobility. And then time frame for mobility, and then mobility of youngst at the European level. So I suppose then another skill is the skill set. So what the skill set do we have to do with transfer online? Like for me, like I know myself, I'm not an expertise in online facilitation or online management of tools and stuff like that. So it's how do you become the kind of that expert in managing your role online?
Correct. Yeah.
And
Sorry, it's just that, like, you know, after some of our volunteers they join, we do have like mandatory trainings, like, you know, that we would do for the people going to the services, like manual handling and fire safety and all, and it's got like more of a demonstration that they have to do. So it's just that it's hard to do it online.
so like
those
some,
kind of
okay,
things.
some things can't do online.
Yeah.
And I suppose with Dublin Simon as well, I actually used to work in Dublin Simon, so we can turn back in a minute. We turn to main section. Okay, so I think with Dublin Simon as well, like, because a lot of things you need is working with people as well, so that can't be learned. That skill set can't be learned through virtual, you know, and it's building that relationship. Okay, I'll return us back to the main room and I'll edit up then afterwards. So thanks.
Okay, that's good. Thanks, Carmen.
Cool.
No, I think we're back now. Yeah.
Sorry, Carmel, I was ringing you there because Darren was trying to get in and I didn't know how to make him a host.
Yeah, guys, I think the co-hosting cut me out as soon as he went into breakout rooms. So I need to stop this co-hosting. How do people get on? People look stressed.
No, not at all. No, we had a lovely chat.
Yeah, I got lost in technology,
I know.
and they put me out.
I could see, but I didn't know how to fix it. And I was trying to ring Carmel to get you in.
You could not make this up. You don't know how smooth it goes for me. And this is probably one of the worst hiccups I've had in a long time. Here you go. So look, you just have to embrace the good with the bad.
Yeah.
You've had some good feedback, yeah?
Yeah, we're doing it here, so.
Okay.
Do you want me to share my screen? Is that how we'll do it, or?
No, I can. We can share when everyone is back. We can share. Just
Okay.
1 second now. Is everyone back there?
There was just a little bit of confusion.
Carmel,
I think.
Sorry, guys. Carmel, can you make me a host again?
Yeah.
Okay. And what I might do is I might knock off co-host because I think it's there was an issue there when we went into breakout rooms with co-host.
I'm not the host now, so I can't do it. So I'm not sure who is the host.
So I'll tell you now who's the host is Denise. If you can make me a host, Denise.
Sorry, I don't know how to do that.
No, I'll tell you now, Denise. If you go into chat, if you go into participants,
Okay.
and if you go to my name where the camera is, it'll give you an option to make me host.
Okay. Wow, this is learning on the job.
Experiential learning.
Oh my God, the pressure.
No, you're fine.
So I go into your name and what do
Yeah. And it says options, and it'll give you on the right hand where the camera is. If you go
Make
to where the
host.
camera is, it'll give options to make host. Okay,
I did it.
well done. So, guys, what we'll do is now I'll share the feedback from participants now. Right, so we start with Team A. So if Team A would like to give us some feedback, just to remind people of muting the mics. So can everyone see this here? So whatever team this was, if somebody would like to give some feedback.
Yeah. So we talked a bit about language barriers are a bit extra difficult when you're working online, and that people had different meetings and found, you know, the language barrier was a big issue because you're working on sort of, it's difficult for people who don't speak English. It's always, you know, even face to face, but it's kind of an extra barrier online. Then we talked about just connecting in groups, I suppose. So there was some interesting ideas about trying to do the more social kind of things online, because that connection is kind of so important. The timing of meetings then, because normally when you have a partner meeting, you might meet for 2 days, but it's not realistic to have a 2-day Zoom meeting. So looking at stretching it out maybe an hour and do it over 2 weeks or something. And then just the obvious thing around connections, that different connections, different countries and different times, that they can be issues. So I think if there's anyone else in the group has anything else to add.
That's great, guys. Thank you. So we'll just move on to the next group here, Group B. So if somebody would like to give us some feedback from Group B.
Yeah, I can do that. So in terms of just our discussion, I suppose, can you hear me? Yeah?
Yeah.
I suppose our discussion was really, I suppose, broader than just maybe the European project. So we were talking about how just the knowledge around using technology with confidence, and that whole learning curve that people are going to, literally, they're doing it live while they're trying to do their work. You know, when you'd have some kind of training or some kind of lead-in time around delivery using technology, and just that having to do it in your home, so you don't have the IT support on site to kind of buffer or support you when you have problems in actually delivering training, like, you know, so it's very challenging. Obviously internet connection, and we could see that today for different people. The ethics of online interaction was one of the comments, which maybe if one of the group members that talked about that could just give a bit of an elaboration on that one, because I think it's an important observation. I think it's William.
Yeah, sorry guys, I think that was my idea. It's kind of like all the behavior of being online. I know I would have said that a few years ago we would have been kind of suited and booted in meetings, but now we're in casual clothes, we're at home, the home environment. So now that has to become acceptable, but we also have to bear in mind that we also have to be professional. So whereas the case of people are muting, there's an agenda sent out in advance of meetings, the way everyone knows when they can talk and when they cannot talk. And just having a little bit of patience and understanding that you're now online rather than face to face, and respecting that section of the online ability to be able to talk and communicate correctly and deliver that message.
Brilliant, thanks for that. Yeah, and I suppose the next 2 points as well were around that space and understanding that people are working from home and they may have children in the background, and just that whole blending of family and work life at home is extremely challenging for everybody in different ways, depending whether you're caring for an older relative or just managing your relationship or your children, whatever it might be. Everyone's, you know, focusing on children in the home, but there's so many other dimensions to home life, you know, that's challenging, and trying to work in that environment. And then also the mental health piece around the no off switch, that you can't leave work behind. There's no, you know, that designated space for work and then leaving it and going and getting, you know, having your off time. So I suppose, like, we had a little chat about trying to maybe order them because they're all interlinked. But I suppose in terms of just the technology aspect of it, the knowledge around how to use it and the internet piece is I suppose, really crucial, because you're used to being professional in your work environment, and to try and be professional online is really important to people.
Very good. Thanks for that, guys. Just moving on now to the next group. So we have Group C. Sorry, Group C. If somebody would give us some feedback.
Hi, that's that's my group. Although there was a little bit of confusion because we thought we were Group B, but so we thought we were filling in text, and we weren't filling in text anyway. We got there in the end.
I went to tell you the groups and I got cut out. So, well, fair play to you. You still persevered. And
so anyway, yeah. So like Denise's group, we had a general discussion, not specifically related to working on the European projects, but I think a lot of it is very relevant to bear in mind when we're working on projects as well. And of course, technology came up as an issue. And learning technology, issues with technology, all of that, those sort of aspects. And there was a couple of other areas that we discussed in terms of the fact that when we're working online or we're working with other people online, that things do seem to happen a little bit, certainly at the moment anyway. Maybe there's a bigger learning curve, but things seem to happen a little bit slower. It's not necessarily the instantaneous discussions and feedback that we have in an office environment. And also that sense of that maybe you have to solve things on your own because you're just sitting in the room on your own, as opposed to being surrounded by colleagues where you can kind of bounce ideas off. And because it's that little bit more, there's a bit more effort to actually have those discussions with other colleagues, then people maybe feel that they don't have that kind of support, or that they're having to work on their own and solve issues on their own a bit more. So trying to kind of maybe find solutions to that in an online environment. And then we also talked about how people have different levels of engagement. So somebody who maybe might be comfortable necessarily in a face-to-face environment might actually be really comfortable online, and then vice versa. People you might expect in a face-to-face situation to be the same online, you mightn't get those same levels of interaction from them in an online environment. So those were kind of some of the issues, but we really enjoyed the discussion, and we thought the group worked really well.
Well done, guys. And did we have a Group D?
We did, and I'm not sure why it's not up there because we wrote on it. Then we can.
Okay, maybe put it into challenges. Maybe hold on.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I can fix this. Brilliant.
Sorry, so we probably did the wrong one. Sorry, that's my bad.
No, you're fine.
So basically, yeah, for us, we're saying our challenge was like we're saying with dissemination events and TTLs and stuff. It's like how do you ensure quality dissemination activities or TTLs online and compared to actually physically be there present? Like how do you make the impact as great, the learning outcomes as strong, as well as being there present with someone, you know? And obviously this is the kind of move to this online platform for dissemination as well. So what is good practice in terms of this? Then we had a thing as well about time frame of mobility. So the issues of it's very difficult for us to plan what the future, I mean, if we know, okay, the virtual world is going to be for the next 6 or 7 months, how do you, knowing to plan for this, you know? But it's very difficult because you don't know whether it's going to be virtual or we can go back to mobilities again, like face-to-face mobilities. Then mobility at European level, the same thing as well. That, I mean, obviously we're all engaging in European projects, and it's all about transnational activities and how much can actually virtual mobilities or online relationship or cooperation help that. Eventually what we want is that European connection at physically as well. So what's the limitation of doing it online? Then obviously is coming in export in online tools facilitation. I think we all, if any of us were really into IT, we would become IT masters, you know what I mean? So it's trying to learn to become highly skilled in IT to manage all these online tools and platforms, and to ensure our work can be transitioned into work online in a quality way. So that's kind of a challenge we're facing as well, is how to make quality work online. And then some things can be done online. So for example, in Dublin Simon, a lot of the trainings, maybe manual handling stuff, can't be done online. You need to actually physically be present to do that as well. So I think that's everything. Did I leave out anything, Nads, or?
No, that sounds good, Carmel. Thanks.
Well, That's great, Carmel. Thanks for that. So, guys, just going to stop sharing here just for a second and bring you back here. I'm going to put you back into breakout rooms again in the same groups. And what I'll ask you this time is, you had some challenges there for the work. With some of the challenges that are realistic, how would you tackle them? So what recommendations, or how would you overcome these challenges? Some of them are got to do with internet connections, technical issues, and maybe it's out of our control. But for what is in our control, what would we recommend or change? Working with the same groups, looking at the challenges and seeing what recommendations you have within a team to overcome these challenges. So taking 15 minutes. I just want to be clear on the groups again. Is William, Paul, Neve, Marita, and Denise, were you all in the same group the last time? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to open the breakout groups again, guys. So everyone should be in the same groups again. Okay.
So we're back.
Welcome back, Carmel.
I was actually panicking there. I saw that PowerPointing. I was like, "Where's our stuff?" Well, it's going the wrong section.
You did fine. You did perfect. You did a great job. Yeah.
Okay, so this one is how can we overcome these challenges we're facing. So let me see. Can I get them back up and see what we had? Let me see. Can I share it?
First one was organising our dissemination and training events.
Okay, overcoming these challenges. Okay, so like how can we do that? So I suppose it's kind of like in the development of a plan A, plan B, and plan C in some terms of a kind of mitigation kind of policy. So like worst case scenario we'll do online. If things are back together, we might do like a combined virtual and physical dissemination plan, or then it's like, okay, is it, if we know things are going back to normal, is it just a full face-to-face dissemination plan? I suppose in some ways it's figuring out, it's preparing for the worst, but what's that phrase? Preparing for the worst, but planning for the best, or?
One obvious way of overcoming some of these might be to look for a project extension.
Yeah.
Hoping that we will get back to normal, you know, in the new year. Whether that's a realistic option to look for a project extension, Siobhan or Denise will answer that question.
Well, definitely, I think they, like me, I think Commission have been very understandable about what's happening at the moment. So I think that is a case where people are allowed the flexibility to extend their project if they want. I know I can't speak for the guys funding because I'm obviously not in that field, but I know for me, like my work plan has been extended till mine's a little bit different. I have 18 months to do my work plan, but it's been extended now till for 6 months each way. Like, so there's, I think they're understanding the need for flexibility and that extension and stuff like that, you know? So
the only other option would be to try to organize it online, but bringing so many different groups of stakeholders together from from schools, from educational bodies, from, you know, politicians, all together online on the one day, it's going to prove more difficult.
would be a possibility of having separate dissemination activities then, or is that too much work, where you might have a dissemination activity for one stakeholder and then another one, and having it like targeting different audiences a little bit better or something? I suppose face-to-face you would have to do that anyway in terms of managing the different needs.
That's an option. That's an option, Carmel, that we would have we'd have to split up the dissemination activities into different target groups. Yeah. But Carmel, you see, the national agency would have to or Léargas or whoever, Erasmus would have to change its funding principles then, because you get so much per attendee, you know, for you know, to assist somebody to attend a dissemination event as part of your budget. So
Yeah.
they would have to change the budget rules accordingly, or give some credit if you organize it virtually rather than physically.
Yeah, and I think there are talks about that, but I know Denise and Siobhan will be able to answer that much more after this for you as well. Like, how can other challenges can you overcome? I think that kind of the blended mobility kind of element, or you know, I mean, having that kind of a dual mobility, like having a virtual mobility or virtual online, and then doing, I mean, is an option of challenging it. So like using the virtual element to maintain it until we can go back traveling again. But
yeah, sorry now to be hogging the discussion.
Oh.
Yeah, and probably we can develop more like online training, online platforms for like, you know, other EVS students also to connect with each other, like maybe like more Facebook page or like, you know, Instagram pages and stuff like that, more things like online, so that, you know, they can also be like the students, they can connect with each other and stay in touch and get to know like about different experiences and stuff like that.
Yeah, I definitely think, and I think there are a lot of things happening as well in that. I think a lot of people are trying to share their resources now and do that kind of peer-to-peer learning as well, and what's the best way of doing it, you know. And I think that's one thing that I think the Webinar Wednesdays can bring in terms of that, is that kind of peer-to-peer sharing and learning, where people can kind of discuss, because like end of the day, like the skill set in the room is you guys, and seeing how you're adapting to it. Obviously we can facilitate a space for people to do that, but it's the experience in the room that like, well, this is how we worked, or this is how we worked, is what makes it a quality learning. And I mean, there are a lot of tools online that's going to be shared. Like, I mean, I know even on a European level, there are huge transitions, especially in the youth and European salary course sector, to online platforms and trainings and stuff like that, and how to manage that. But maybe that's space to share that then, you know.
Carmel, just another point would be that if we move from physical dissemination events to doing more online training or online dissemination activities, it may also require project amendments. It may require a project amendment which would involve the transfer of monies from one part of the project budget to another. So it has all sorts of implications in terms of how projects are fulfilled, you know?
Yeah, and of course, like, and I think the only thing that is kind of comforting in that is that, I mean, Erasmus Plus and like national agencies like us, like, you know, Siobhan and Denise, and are not, they don't want to prevent people from their project not being finished. I mean, I think people are trying, like the national agencies and the commission are trying to adapt to the needs of the beneficiaries. So they're not going to try to catch you out, if that makes sense. They're going to try to make the learning process as smooth as possible for people, you know?
Yeah, I know from the experience of dealing with Siobhan and Denise that their whole objective is to try to facilitate and assist all the project coordinators to run the projects, you know, well, and they do everything to facilitate us in that way. So I appreciate their concern.
I know, but then again, as I get that as an additional work for you as well. I mean, I know for a lot of people, like the Erasmus Plus projects or European Salary Corps projects are addition to their work. So it's not just, I mean, that's not their, like, it's an additional role or to the work they're doing anyway. So having to adapt to these changes and having to adapt your program or your projects to that is very challenging, you know? But
yeah, it's a reality actually. Yeah,
you know. But Miranda, do you have anything to add, or?
Yeah, I suppose I'm still very much in the listening phase at the moment, just getting up to speed with what everyone is doing. I suppose the biggest issue for us is the whole purpose of the mobility, the Erasmus Plus program, is to give our students an opportunity to do some work experience abroad.
Yeah.
And then those students coming over to us as well. So that is obviously a huge challenge as to whether it will even fit. But I think, you know, we can be creative about the kind of project we could look at, maybe something involving, you know, students and online engagement. I don't know, we'll just have to obviously sit down and think about it in terms of defining a project that fits the new reality.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and then maybe it is that thing of like, I don't know, like virtual training starting off and then the mobility afterwards or something. And I get that it is difficult, and you don't want a situation will happen where a young person goes off for, if they're a young person with your opportunity, going off for 2 weeks and then have to do 2 weeks quarantine away home, or you know, I mean, there are a lot of things like risk assessments and policies to consider as well, which you wouldn't have to consider beforehand.
Absolutely, and also catering for, you know, fear. A lot of families and people are going to be afraid to travel,
Yeah.
you know, so whether they'll even apply or be interested in going. I think in the previous year that we ran the program, I wasn't involved in it then, but I think there were about 10 young people that traveled, and again they had to go through an interview process in the college and all that. So you know, it's making sure that we tailor a project that young people are actually going to want to get involved in and not feel, like you say, that they have to travel and then they only go for 2 weeks. So if they have to quarantine for 2 weeks, it's not going to work.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean,
So have you, Carmel, have you got sufficient ammunition there to document a few points?
I think. Okay, will you try to jump back into the breakout room and see what the people are doing there?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
There's a leave room button on the bottom right.
Yeah, so if you want to jump out of there, yeah, great.
Carmel, how are you? Can you hear me there? You're mute there, sorry.
Into the rooms.
No, I see you now. What's that?
Can you jump into the rooms and stuff like that?
The reason I didn't is because I think if I go in, I get cut off because you're recording.
Okay. Oh, okay.
That's what happened to me the first time. So when I went to go into a breakout room, it got rid of me because you were recording, so you became then the host.
Okay.
Learning process.
Don't it's like, you know, I think maybe we'll cut down the activity a little bit because we're already running over. So maybe if we can pull to even give a minute.
So even with the feedback, then we can give feedback, or maybe say, guys, if you don't mind, maybe give the feedback quite quick.
Yeah, exactly. I think, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, I'm not sure if the rest of the Miranda, is the rest of the guys in the other still in the meeting room, or did they like leave?
I don't think Miranda was assigned to a group, was she?
No, she was in my group as well, so we left, but I was wondering where the other two guys are gone. And they've gone lost in the virtual worlds.
Hi guys, I actually left the entire meeting, had to come back in again. Yeah. I clicked the wrong button.
No bother.
Yeah. Oh no, they're lost. Next time we'll have we'll be.
What's best with breakout rooms as well, and we have to be more clear with this, is stay in your breakout rooms really till the time runs out and everyone automatically comes in together. You know.
Sorry.
But no, it happens. It's not the first time. It happens a lot, and then they just bring everyone through, and you exit quite smoothly. But again, we practice and we learn.
Perfect. Okay. I'm not sure. Do you want to call people back in then, Darren, or give them a minute or so?
Yeah, there's still people typing here. So I know you guys, D is your group, and I know you're finished, but C and B still have a little bit more typing. I can see here. There's.
So I want to check where I might go back into breakout room and see if the guy's still there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where the other guys are gone. They're not in there anyway, so they've just disappeared.
They might have locked themselves out of a meeting. They might have left the meeting instead of the breakout room. That can happen sometimes, because when you leave, you end up leaving the meeting because we have to call you back. So let me go in here and see for a second. Which group were you?
Group 4.
Group 4. So there's nobody there. Okay, it was Finian in your group? Yeah. So they might have they probably logged out of the meeting instead of the breakout rooms. That can happen. Hiya, Finian.
Oh, I'm mute there, Finian.
You're on. You end up leaving the meeting, did you, instead of the breakout room?
I did.
Yeah. What happens is, when it's on a timer, when the time runs out, it'll bring you back in automatically. So.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's my fault. I should get slapped in the wrist there.
You had time to spare, so I'm closing all the breakout rooms now, and they have a warning of 60 seconds now that their breakout room will be closed. So that just lets them know that they have to finish their task.
So how do you leave the breakout room early and still hold on to the meeting?
Well, you would need to be called. I think it gives you you can put an option in the breakout rooms to allow participants leave when they want, but I would have in the breakout rooms, normally they're set up that they don't leave till adequate time of 15 minutes. But you can't set up that they can leave in any time they want. But what happens is some people then can come out of meetings by accident, and it can be difficult to manage. So if you're clear saying we're going to give you 15 minutes in the breakout room and don't leave, we will automatically call you back in. If you're finished the task, have a general conversation with each other. That's normally kind of the best way to manage it. Okay. Welcome back, guys. Okay. So guys, we are running low on time. So just with the feedback, if possible, if people can just give us feedback in kind of bullet points, and what we'll do is we will record all the feedback and send it to people as well. So I'm going to share now the findings again, and just if people can give us the feedback then in bullet form. So we start with Team A again here, which is the overcoming these challenges. So if Team A would like to just quickly give us some feedback.
Okay, so the first thing with just about that, testing that we may, partners might need extra training, the practicalities and the extra resources like the professional Zoom, then about more one-to-one meetings, because if it's lots of partners, sometimes you need to speak one-to-one to partners as well, and having opportunities with smaller groups as well. Then we had a good chat about that issue about the importance of focusing on the social and intercultural things with meetings as well, that it's not just formal things the whole time, to try and bring a bit of a more social connection in. So someone had the idea they did this kind of, everyone baked their local dish and had a kind of more social thing about that. So it's important to make that part of the relationships as well. And then the thing about doing 2-hour sessions and short sessions, and maybe getting people to do homework between sessions, and maybe focusing the sessions then on something specific, but not doing kind of very long, day-long sessions with partnership meetings.
Very good. So Group B. If somebody would like to present back.
Yeah, I don't mind doing it.
Yeah.
So we had one of our group, Marita, actually did the sharing the screen and the editing just to test it out. So I suppose our first thing was how much we've learned this morning, just because of the different glitches and the bits and pieces that happened to us while we were doing this. That notion of just being prepared to fail and be okay with that, like, that things are going to be challenging and you're going to learn as you're doing that. We talked about how much we'd learned just in that process today. But at the same time, be open to learn and to adapt, to get those skills, to get your support online, to kind of overcome that fear and get more of a sense of the tools you're using. Again, like what Anne was saying there around just the spontaneous learning that may be happening through a face-to-face visit, to try and use the visual, maybe video, to capture other dimensions of the meeting, like, you know, the school or whatever it might be that you're sharing in another way online. And then also in terms of reimagining the online, the what would have been face-to-face to online, just that idea of delivering it in a different way. Maybe once a week you'd have an hour and then you go do homework, like what Anne was saying there, and the idea of breaks as well, you know, that it's not all going to be 3 hours online, which is just ridiculous, that you're trying to do it in shorter, meaningful slots of time online.
Very good. Well done, guys. And now we have Group C, if you'd like to give us some feedback.
Yeah, so what we talked about was how to improve the slow pace of work. And one of the issues that had been brought up around that was that if you just want to ask a quick question to a colleague, now it feels like we're imposing on them if we ring them or email them with that, as opposed to asking across the room. So if you've much more frequent team meetings, up to daily in some environments or some companies, or have coffee breaks together, it gives you the opportunity for those smaller informal questions and support to happen without feeling like, oh, that's a big deal. Should I really disturb this person for this question? Then in terms of managing, I suppose, work-life balance, we talked a lot about that. So we were saying about really using time management and organization tools, and really trying to separate work and private life. And that can be a physical space for people who have the luxury of that, to allocate a space to this is where my desk is. If that's not an option, other ideas we had was change your clothes, have your work clothes and your relaxing clothes, or your loungewear or whatever. You know, maybe turn on the light on your desk when you start work, and that means it's work now, and when you stop, you turn it off. Do you exercise before or after work as another way of cutting off the working day? So those were the kinds of things that we talk about. And also for people who have sometimes challenges downloading materials, don't wait until you need something. If you know that you're going to need something tomorrow, maybe try and download it the day before when you have good internet, so that you're not going to be frustrated and wasting time the next day if you have problems. Hopefully I've captured everything we talked about.
Brilliant, thanks very much. And now Group D.
I'll talk, sure. So yeah, we kind of have some quite practical elements of it, how to overcome challenges. So look, for some of them, like maybe the dissemination activities, is looking at talking to the national agency and saying, okay, are there a possibility to get an extension in terms of like our dissemination or our project, so that you can hopefully do it in the next few months, the kind of that element through face-to-face. Then we're looking at, okay, if you're doing dissemination activities, or what kind of workshops you're doing, is looking at the different methodologies which suit each target audience. So, and if you're disseminating or working with young people, what is the methodologies will work much better with them than per se like adult learners or students and stuff like that. So really kind of breaking that, it's much more difficult to do different methodologies online, and it's really trying to really break down that group and saying, okay, do we need to work with people differently? Do we need to work with different target audiences in a different way and separately than together? Then blended mobility, so overcoming these challenges. So if you're planning your European project, looking at having the plan A, plan B, and plan C, like in plan A might be going, okay, worst case scenario, we won't be able to meet face to face for another 6 or 7 months. So we'll have our virtual plan and stuff like that. Then plan C is kind of like, okay, things are lighting up. We might be able to have the ability to have like a mobility and virtual, so blending both those mobilities together. And then plan C will be maybe something like, actually, we're just going to do it face to face, and when will we do that? So having the different plans ready to go. Then we also talked about new platforms being created. So like saying that actually there's so many people moving to the virtual world now, and that we just need to look at these platforms that have been used already. So instead of reinventing the wheel all the time, we can look at what platforms are already out there. Like, I mean, for example, I think like Web Wednesday is a good way of sharing peer-to-peer space. Like, but there are maybe other ways of sharing peer-to-peer learning and how what works well and what doesn't work well. And then clear information to be provided to beneficiaries, and that comes from us as a national agency, but then also for people who are running projects, that they're clarity on what's going to happen, and saying, okay, where this might be happening or this is not, but giving them what's the up-to-date, what's happening up to date straight away with them as well, so that they'll know what the next steps are going to be or what the process is going to be. So.
Pretty good. Thanks for that, guys. So just moving on, guys, we're near our conclusion now at the minute. And what I would say is in relation to transferring the work in an online platform, particularly our European projects, you know, I see great value in it in respects to, you know, that kind of initial stage of partnership building, working on the relationships of the group, getting groups ready for the European work. You know, all of this can be done online, and it's a good tool. It will never take away from getting on a plane and having an intercultural experience. That is something that everyone wants to have, both local and international young people and learners and educators. So it's something that at the moment that's not happening, but work can still be done in the online platform. And I think you know, these tools will definitely improve us going forward in the future for all this kind of stuff, the preparation, the relationship building, the meetings. You know, people will be much better equipped in the next couple of months doing this work in the future. That's what I perceive with all this online technology that we're picking up. So just quickly brushing through a design model, particularly in an online platform, is gamification. For people who aren't familiar with it, it's just a design from gaming, and it has key elements like user engagement, things that you should be looking for in a design process, pardon me, reward, achievement, motivation, and challenge. So these are key elements if you have in a program or a session plan that will motivate engagement from you, from participants, learners, and young people, and also participation. It's quite a popular model now in business, and it's used all across the world. But it is a good model for online facilitation also, to keep your sessions fun, have a sense of achievement, learning, engagement, and challenge. We look to do a lot of that today in the online facilitation. It was certainly a challenge at times trying to manage bad connections and other things. But also just touching back on something else earlier on in the session, it's okay to fail in technology. It's out of our control. You know, don't be afraid to fail, and we can log back on. Just always have a support worker with you, because if something happens to one person, your chances are better if they're doubled. You know, if there's two people facilitating a session or a seminar or a webinar, have as many people there as possible. I would recommend 2 minimum when you're engaging in an online format. So just now touching on towards the end, we have some resources, tips, and tools that can be emailed to the group. Carmel has a couple of resources that I've sent. She will email to people who participated, some tutorials, some information around breakout rooms, how to manage them, and etc. There's a TED Talk and gamification there, which is very useful. And now just some questions and answers, or if anyone from the National Agency would like to jump in before that.
No, we might have to use the Mentimeter as well for, I might share my screen for the Mentimeter. Yeah. In terms of evaluation. It's another tool that can be used as an example of online facilitation or engaging people in different methods. So I'll share that now, but you can fill it out when you want to. And next while, I know people might want to have the space to talk to each other now or share learning and stuff like that. So we can break into different breakout rooms if people want to talk about their like European projects or how to go forward with newcomers. We can do that as well. but I'll show you the Menti here. So actually, we might just do it all together now, if that's okay.
Carmel.
Yeah.
The Jamboard, I was talking to them about Jamboard in our group as well.
Yeah.
For people who normally use flip charts doing group work, it was really nice to do that yesterday.
Yeah, I can show you. I can maybe when I do the Mentimeter, Darren can show the Jamboard after that. Then, so maybe Darren can get that up online, and I'll get the screen share for the Menti now. Where is it? Perfect. So I will send this on to you now. 1 second. Sure. So if you all go into mentimeter.com, I think it's the code we used yesterday. This is the code here, 659918. So you can use your phones or you can use your online as well, whatever suits you best. So this will come up on your screen once it comes up.
Yeah.
So this is an example. So we're just using it as an evaluation now, just as to show you an example of kind of an interactive tool that you can use during your like online facilitation as well. So if people want to use this here, like, I mean, obviously it's anonymous as well, so it's no problem. You can rate the scales here and here. So okay, so you can see here how many people have like applied, and I think down on the bottom as well it shows how many people have so see in the bottom right hand corner you can see exactly how many people have used it as well. So 5 people have submitted so far. So normally you would say, okay, we have 15 in a group. You might wait until everyone does it, or you might say, okay, we have 5 minutes, whoever wants to commit to it there. So I'll give another 10 seconds or 20 seconds for people to do that. Is everyone on and able to use it, or do they need to? Okay.
How do you get into it, Carmel?
So if you go into www.mentimeter.com, so
yeah.
the code here, see this code here, the 659918.
Yeah.
So you just type that into the little box there.
Where's that box to type it into?
So let me show you my phone.
It's just at the very top of it. So you'll see when you go on the website, there's a space at the very top of it.
I have no space. What I have is your presentations is the only thing I can click on.
I'll show you on my screen.
You need to
open up a new browser.
Yeah, you need to open up a new browser.
Oh, do I? Oh, okay.
Yeah, go to a new web page.
Right.
There should be an enter code to vote thing at the very top of the website. Then when you go in.
Marie, can you see my camera right now?
Let me just see. Sorry, just trying to. Oh God, things aren't working for me now. Yeah, I can see it now.
Perfect. So if you add in that code, then you'll see the screen.
Perfect. Thanks a million.
So once you vote in, I can go on to the next one.
For those of you, Menti is a great tool as well. It gives you visual word clouds as well. If you have expectations for the training or the session, if people put their words in, they collate the most common words and they will blow them out higher, bigger, to highlight what the main...
I think this one here is a word cloud here. So if people start on this side, if they want to write in what amount of training did you find more useful, it'll come up. I'm not sure if this is the word cloud one or is.
Nice first word to see. Isn't it very friendly? I'll take that.
Okay, so I'll give people another few minutes and I'll another minute or so, and then I'll go on to the next one. So this is a quite, as you can see, this is quite an interactive way of kind of working as well. So if you wanted people's ideas and thoughts in one go, this is an idea how to do it.
It also looks very well. It's very well presented, and it's a good tool to have then for people.
So I'll go on to the next one now. Oh, sorry. So we go into this one. Would you see, like to see on our themes and topics? Just to let you know as well, in terms of information sessions for new participants in 2RAS Plus, they're depending on what sector you're from, there are a few things happening on that. So I'd advise people to join the mailing list as well to see up-to-date activities or events helping supporting newcomers engage. Okay, so I might move on to the next, giving people another 30 seconds and I'll move on to the next one. At any part of this training you found least useful? Now we go gentle on us because it's the first one. Like when we were developing this as well, we were looking at, should we give people more theory or practice? Like, and we had a debate about whether a webinar should be just like listening to someone speak, or should we have it more interactive? And we did decide to have it much more interactive. I think Anne said it before, if we didn't want it to be interactive, we would have recorded a webinar for you to watch and that would be it. But we really wanted people to try and engage and learn by doing, really. So, and learning the hiccups as well. So I think we all kind of share that learning today as well.
I think we all recognize that, like, the expertise is in the room, and you guys have the expertise, and it's creating a space for us to share with each other.
Okay. So I'll give people another few seconds there and I'll move on to the next one. Okay, so the next one then. Any other comments? So. And just look as well, we do have other webinars as well coming up for the next 8 weeks. So I know the one next week is full, but actually we might extend. I think this is learning for us in terms of increasing our numbers we're saying can emit, because obviously people don't show up like other meetings as well. So just have a look online on our website as well. There'll be more webinars for next 7 weeks after this. So. And then I'm not sure if Denise and the guys have some time as well, but we can stay online if people want to talk with any part aspects of their project, or any elements, or even if you're a newcomer, about how to engage in it, we can break into, we have different breakout rooms as well, or if people want to suggest a theme or topic to talk about in the breakout room, we can do that as well. So after this, we'll give that space for people to share. I know we're over time by a lot now, but if people want that, we're happy to facilitate that as well. So I'm going to stop my screen now. So I'm not sure, yeah.
Yeah. So guys, somebody mentioned Jamboard there as well. I don't use Jamboard, but it's quite easy to use. If I quickly, I'll just share what I have here with Jamboard. So it's Jamboard, it's an interactive blackboard that you can use. It's free with Google. I think Denise, you were talking about this here. So you can just go to get started in it, and then if you have a Google account, you can go on and it will bring you on to this here, which allows you to draw pictures. Let's see now.
The most useful one is the little post-it.
The post-its.
You can type in your words. Do you know, it's easy to write, and then you can stick it onto the board. So
it's
easy. Yeah.
Yeah. So we go to save. And
yeah, so you can create columns or questions, and then get people to put their sticky onto the question, you know, or that kind of thing. It's like a flip chart, really. It's a nice way to work together. And
so
you can read the writing as well. Normally in flip charts, you can't read the writing.
Yeah, I was going to say we mentioned this, especially for all those people who are missing our face-to-face trainings on our post-its and pens.
Yeah.
I know in relation to training flip charts and being creative, I'm probably not the most creative, but some of my colleagues, European colleagues, are very creative, and they love the flip charts. They love Jamboard, and it's really important that they maintain that element of the training. So for people who do like that part of the training, it is a great tool. It's quite simple, like Google Slides, all the Google applications. Personally, I really like Google applications. They're free. There's no strings attached with them, and they're quite easy to share and use. So I would recommend them for people personally. The sessions being short, we tried to make it an hour session today. We wanted to be engaged and interactive also. I've been involved, I know one of you is very familiar for having some conversations with 70 people, and it's not very interactive. So looking to kind of be creative and make the spaces more interactive, using breakout rooms, so people feel that they had a part in the session and weren't just present with 70 other people while 1 and 2 people spoke.
So I suppose that's kind of near the end of our session. I'll start recording now, but if people want to stay on, or if they want to ask, can we have a breakout room about something that's pressing to them, we can do that as well if people want. So this is part, I mean, as long as people want, if you want another 10 minutes of us chatting, we can do that. So this is your space as well.